So we are on chapter 1 geography natural resources. I explained this chapter before but I am explaining this again. What are resources? Resource is anything that can be used to satisfy a human wants and needs. It described as a raw material that are drawn from the nature and are used without much modification. The resources include the following things that are present in environment and which humans use directly. And the second thing is that a human transform these raw material or things into a usable or satisfying their usable materials and satisfy their needs. Uses of resources. The uses of resources depend upon the need of the people of a region, knowledge of these people, and the level of technology those people possess. And the resources are classified into three types: natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. What are natural resources? Natural resources are those resources that are down from nature and used without much modification. For example, water, air, sunlight, animals, etc. are resources accessed by everyone of us. So, natural resources further classified into various categories on their different characteristic as under characteristic के अकॉर्डिंग नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को और फर्दर कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड किया गया. और कैटेगरीज क्या थी? ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ ओरिजिन और रिसोर्स, on the basis of their renewability, on the basis of their development, and on the basis of their distributionship. So let us discuss about the first, on the basis of origin or source. On the basis of origin, the natural resources are divided into two parts: biotic resources and abiotic resources. Biotic resources and abiotic resources. So, biotic resources are natural resources. The resources that are obtained from living organisms such as plant, animals, and they include forest products, grasses, herbs, crops, wild and domestic animals, bird, fish, etc. are biotic resources. And all the biotic resources have the capacity to reproduce and regenerate within the period of time. Thus, they are called renewable resources. Okay. So, what are abiotic resources? Abiotic resources are non-living things. Non-living things. These are also known as inorganic or non-living resources. Inorganic and non-living sources. Example of these resources are soils, minerals, rocks, and other important abiotic resources. Second is on the basis of renewability. On the basis of renewability. So on the basis of renewability, resources are divided into renewable resources and non-renewable resources. What are renewable resources? The resources that can be renewed by reproduction are called renewable resources. They can be renewed by physical, mechanical, or chemical process. And the stock of these resources are unlimited, like solar, wind energy. These are called inexhaustible resources, and the quantity is not affected by human beings. For example, agriculture crop takes short time while the other takes very long time to replenish. So non-renewable resources are the resources that takes thousands of years to get replenished are called non-renewable resources. Since it takes more than a lifespan of humans to replenish these resources, they are called non-renewable resources. For example, petroleum, coal, diamond, etc. are the non-renewable resources. Now let us discuss about on the basis of development. On the basis of development, resources are classified into two parts: potential resources and actual resources. Potential resources are the resources द टोटल क्वांटिटी अवेलेबल क्वांटिटी ऑफ विच इज़ नॉट नोन। देखिए ऐसे रिसोर्सेज जिनकी टोटल क्वांटिटी पता ही ना हो, बट इनका यूज़ आने वाले टाइम में इन फ्यूचर होगा। जैसे कि आप देखते हैं सिलिकन और आजकल लिथियम आयन की बैटरीज बन रही हैं। जब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इलेक्ट्रिक हो रही है सब कुछ चीज़ें, जब ग्रीनाइजेशन हो रहा है, ग्रीन कर रहे हैं ना, गाड़ियाँ की बैटरी बननी है, बैटरी ऑपरेटेड कार आएंगी अब। तो बैटरी ऑपरेटेड कार में क्या यूज़ हो रहा है, लिथियम आयन यूज़ हो रहा है। लिथियम आयन यूज़ होगा तो क्या होगा, लिथियम आयन का पहले पता नहीं था कितना यूज़ होना है कैसे नहीं, लेकिन आज जो है वेरी एनॉर्मस अमाउंट में यूज़ हो रहा है। सो another example of potential resources can be देखिए potential है ये, unexplored oil wells near the western coast of India. Now let us discuss about the actual and developed resources, those resources which the total quantity and quality of which are present known as actual and developed resources. For example, the quality and the quantity of the resources are known to us, like iron ore, coal deposit in Jharkhand, petroleum deposit in West Asian countries, gold deposit diamond in South Africa, and the rich black soil of Deccan Plateau in Maharashtra are the some example of actual resources. Okay, now on the basis of distributionship. On the basis of distributionship, the resources are classified into two categories: ubiquitous and localized. Ubiquitous are the resources that are found everywhere. For example, air, sunlight, wind, water, etc. are the ubiquitous. And the localized resources are resources that can be found only a certain part of the world, like copper, iron ore, coal, petroleum, etc. These are localized resources. So we have discussed about the resources, natural resources. Now let us discuss about the human made resources. As the name suggests, that human made resources, the human made resources are those resources which human create using technology and skill. Such resources include technical expertise, government structure, partial political and economical structure. Political. Beside the social and cultural setup, in the process, natural substances are transferred into a useful product. Even technology used to make such product is a human made resources. देखिए टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज़ करके और नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का यूज़ करके ह्यूमन ने अपने काम के लिए कुछ चीज़ें बनाई, जैसे कि एयरक्राफ्ट, मशीनरी, बिल्डिंग्स, रोड, etc., railway track, etc. are the some example of human made resources. Now let us discuss about the human resources. What are human resources? The human resource constitute human beings themselves. And the human beings perhaps are the most important resources. The reason is no gift of the nature can be developed as a resource without doing so. देखिए every person has a unique set of skills and knowledge which enables him to contribute towards the society in some way or the other way. देखिए ह्यूमन इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट रिसोर्स ऑफ दिस अर्थ. रीज़न ये, नो गिफ्ट ऑफ द नेचर कैन बी डेवलप्ड एज अ रिसोर्स विदाउट हिज डूइंग सो. देखिए कोई भी नेचर का कोई भी पार्ट कुछ भी डेवलप नहीं हो सकता अब तक ह्यूमन उसे कुछ नहीं करता. ह्यूमन ने ही करा है जो भी करा है, रिसोर्सेज का जो यूज़ करना स्टार्ट करा है ह्यूमन नहीं करा. अगर इफ़ ह्यूमन आर नॉट देयर इन द अर्थ, तो अर्थ में कुछ भी नहीं होता. सो एवरी people take continuous education and training to become a useful human resource. Education and training improve the quality of people's skills and knowledge. When we talk of the human resource, it must be accessed both in terms of quality and quantity. Not only there be enough humans to exploit the natural resources, they must also have the technique to utilize them in the best possible manner. Improving the quality of people's skills so that they are able to create more resources is known as human resource development. Now, conservation of resources. As the name suggests, conservation. Conservation means the population of the world is growing each year. With the more people, the demand of all kind of resources keep multiplying at a rapid rate. This lead to resources being overexploited, exhausted, damaged and misused. It is essential to use resources with a great care and prudence as they form a life support system. So the resources are very necessary for the development or the life support of human beings. So we have to use the resources very carefully, because in the next generation, later generation will suffer from the acute shortage of resources. Now connect the process are of vital significance. The process is divided into two parts: conservation of resource and sustainable development. For this conservation resource, using natural resources carefully without wasting them is called conservation of resources. Use of reserve resources very carefully. What is sustainable development? What sustainable development means: using natural resources properly for today's need and also conserve them for the future generation. It is called sustainable development. So what is principle of 3 R's? The principle of 3 R is recycle, reuse and reduce. Recycle, reuse, and reduce. So what is reduce? We should reduce our consumption of certain items whenever we can do. And what is reuse? Many old items can be reused by making them into a useful item. For example, old cloth can be used for making rugs and doormats. And the last is recycle. Paper, glass, iron, tin can be recycled many times. After recycling, many useful items are made from these discarded items. So, in this chapter, we have discussed about the biotic, abiotic resources, ubiquitous resources. So, chapter is complete, and the next chapter is natural resources, land, soil, and water.